Okay, you did it. So welcome everybody. Last week we talked about public speaking, and it was a series of events. So we'll probably pick that back up next time. We talked about what makes us afraid of public speaking, and it was very eye-opening. Amina and I thought so anyway, about how your body reacts to fear from way back. That um, and what makes us so fearful of public speaking. So it was really the basics to begin, and then I'm interested to see how the next couple of months go when we talk about more of that public speaking, because I think it's something we should all practice because we all have to do it at some point. Right, Sherry?
Yes.
So Sherry Earl is one of the members of this South Carolina Women in Leadership Circle from the very beginning. Sherry and I have known each other through the pandemic. We actually first met right when the world shut down, and we became fast friends over Zoom. So I was a career coach, and Sherry was trying to figure out her next steps in going back into the workforce. So she had a long, very great career and quite successful. Took some time off to take care of multiple family members. And now she's been doing a lot of research on what it takes to get back into the workforce. And so she's going to present something really cool to us today that most of us don't know much about.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jessica. I really do appreciate this opportunity. I appreciate the friendships, getting to know Amina and Emily as well. And a little nervous, but hopefully this will go well, and you guys won't have motion sickness by the time I get through switching screens, because I do have some valuable information to share with you. So feel free to raise your hand, interject, ask questions. This is very informal. Like I say, this is my first time presenting virtually, presented in person, but never virtually. I've been a part of family gatherings, but I had my wonderful, technically advanced creative daughter at the wheel making things happen. So I'm flying on my own today. So bear with me. And just wanted to dig right in and say that returnships are basically internships for professionals who have left the workforce. They're trying to return, trying to get back in after having a gap. So just for a little side humor, I'll start with my first screen share, and you guys can tell me if you can see this. This doesn't involve a video, just a simple. These are my favorite returners right here. I don't know if you know, but I just realized by binge watching The Golden Palace that the Golden Girls went from the series, of course, you know, the Golden Girls, to the Golden Palace. So they have literally traveled down the road and back again, added a whole new light to returnships. Picture it, Sicily. Anyway, yes. So anyway, just wanted to share that with you because that's one of my all-time favorites. I know it's a lot of folks, so just wanted to kind of add a little light to that. Wow, I was amazed. If you ever get to see it, it is quite humorous and enlightening, very informative. So anyway, I just wanted to see how many of you, of course, there's only the few, the chosen few here, have ever been caregivers or know of anyone who has had to be a caregiver. Feel free to interject, unmute, chat, however you'd like.
Does raising children count?
Oh yes, raising children, loved ones of all ages, whether they're children who are entering elementary school or just taking time off after pregnancy, taking time off for whatever. But especially as it relates to caregiving.
So I'll raise my hand.
Oh yes, yes, yes indeed, yes indeed. So as well I have, and I'll get into that a little bit further. So now imagine that you have fulfilled your caregiving responsibilities and you have this huge gap on your resume. So even if you don't fall into this category, we need everyone, including those who view this recording afterwards, to try to spread the word about returnships. And hopefully all that I have to share will enlighten and inform you. There is so much, but I have minimized this into about 30 minutes. So I hope this will be 30 minutes well spent. And basically, returnships have become even more popular after the pandemic. After all, 20 million quit their jobs in just the second half of 2021. So we all know that it can be quite intimidating, realizing that you are being judged for having a career gap. I don't know if you experienced that, Jessica, when you took time off and tried to get back in. People really look at you with the side eye and, wonder, what really was going on, when yet, in fact, it was all very innocent and just the opposite. So just want to share a little bit more. I'll be sharing throughout, and please feel free to let me know if you can't see what I am sharing. Now, basically, of course, we know my all-time favorites. A lot of companies like Path Forward, iRelaunch, and Reach Higher have all created a phenomenal support system for returners and have truly embraced the entire returnship journey, much like Indeed. It's really amazing, all of the resources that they give. And the links for each of these companies, as well as for a few other resources, are in the chat box. However, my main focus is going to be on Path Forward. Now, the Path Forward website states that they're a nonprofit organization on a mission to empower people to restart their careers after time spent focused on caregiving. They fulfill this mission by working with companies to create and run mid-career internships, also known, of course, as returnships, as we come to know. Now, these returnships give professionals a jump start back into their careers while giving companies access to a diverse, untapped talent force. Since 2016, Path Forward has partnered with over 100 companies, large and small, to create return to work programs, including Amazon, Walmart, Netflix, Apple, NBC Universal, Verizon, PayPal, Intuit, and others. And just a side note, last year, Amazon took on and embraced the whole returnship process by offering 1,000 returnships to returning women in particular to the workforce. So just thought that was quite interesting. I mean, I just learned about this earlier this year. So we're going to slide back, but roughly 80% of the participants in these programs have been hired by the companies where they were brought on for the returnship. So Path Forward has been featured on several news sites. I mean, it just goes, just to let you know just what's out there, it just goes on. I feel like I've been left out of the loop because no one has told us about this, but information is power. And all of this is on the Path Forward website. So while so many markets have filled numerous roles through the returnship process, South Carolina appears to have yet to embrace the concept of what could potentially be a game changer in the hiring process. Now, I will say it again, we need for everyone to get the word out there about returnships because these people are just so valuable. We'll get into that a little more. Now, again, if you have any questions or need to interject, I just wanted to show you guys, just how widespread this is. This didn't just happen yesterday. From what I've heard, there's some companies that have started this as long ago as 20 years. Just found out about it this year. So
That's shocking.
Isn't that
Sherry?
shocking? It's shocking. It really is. It
Yes.
really is.
Because, just to interject my situation, I never took a huge amount of time out, but in order to be more present when my children were much younger, I did kind of slide back and take a part-time job. And it's like I had to start all over after that. And, if I had known about something like this, where they help you get back on track rather than having to slide back and start over, that's really interesting.
Absolutely. It's just crazy, all the resources that they have, why we haven't learned about this sooner, but I think the pandemic really brought that energy to the whole concept to get more companies to buy into that whole returnship process. Because after all, we've got more experience than interns. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So I first came across the Path Forward company while watching the following clip from the Today Show, Third Hour. So this helps to put a face on some actual returners. So let's see. I think this is it. It kind of changed a little. Yes. Let me know if you're able to hear this. It's only about 5 minutes.
Can't hear it.
No, did you remember to click that box?
Yeah, I clicked on it before. Let me stop sharing. I'll go back in. Have to do it each time.
Each time, yes. I think it's weird because
Wow.
why would you not want to share the video?
Exactly, right? Thank you. I'll remember to do that each time.
Yeah.
Slide back here.
Over the past few years, millions of people have left the workforce, the majority of them women. So enter the returnship, a new trend giving people a chance to get back to work. I sat down with 3 women who are giving it a try.
I'm a wife and I'm a mother of 3 children.
Claudia Galindez quit her job as an IT manager 3 years ago to focus on family. Amy Shu is a military wife who left her corporate job when her husband was called into service. Arnetta Alexander was let go from her job as a senior account manager, and then her husband's job was relocated to California.
Tell me what it was like losing your job due to the pandemic, because you are not alone with that.
It was heartbreaking, honestly, because you're told your position is gone, and thinking, oh my goodness, how?
My journey started actually with my son. He has dyslexia, as well as another learning disability, which pretty much hindered him. So it was a very emotional time for me. Of course, I'm the mother. I think when you reach a certain level of perceived success, people do not walk away from their job. That's not what you're supposed to do.
I started in the financial industry, and I've been doing that for many years in the corporate world. And then I got married to a military service member who got activated. We had to relocate from where we are right now, the tri-state area, to the islands of Hawaii. And we didn't know how long we were going to be there for.
All 3 women worked with Path Forward, a nonprofit which helps to find what's called returnships, mid-career internship programs. Arnetta's job search lasted for a year and a half, and then she found a returnship with Amazon.
What were those 18 months like?
They were long. At first you think, oh, okay, this is a little break, so that should be nice. But no, because it wasn't my choice, it wasn't so much of a break to me.
Claudia, you are certainly not alone with people whose children, whether it's special needs or whether they just need to take time to be with their kids. How long did you have that span before you went back to work?
Once we saw that he was adjusted well and he was making leaps and bounds, it was time for me to jump back in it. It was about 2.5 years.
Did you have some concerns at first about being able to get back into the workforce?
Absolutely. A lot of feelings of inadequacy. Let me tell you, the feeling of, can I really do it? Are they really going to give me a chance? Imposter syndrome, it's real.
This summer, Claudia found a returnship with Audible.
What did it feel like when you found out that with this program, you had a way back in?
I jumped on it because it seemed like it fit.
Amy is still searching for the right fit.
There's always some kind of concerns in the back burner, especially in IT. Being out for 1 year is already dated, and you have to work so much harder as a woman.
There are some people who would believe that it's harder for women to re-enter the workforce than men. Do any of you agree with that?
I would probably say yes, from a standpoint of thinking that, well, you're probably going to have time off because you're probably the main caregiver of your family at home.
There are a lot of challenges for women, but I think there are two ways to help. One, to provide the tools that women need to succeed. And two is to educate recruiters and hiring managers the value women, these women, moms or not, can bring to the workforce.
Approximately 75 to 100 companies offer returnships. Arnetta's opportunity turned into a full-time job. Claudia is still in her 18-week program.
Tell me how you think your life would be different if you didn't have this program.
I would definitely still be searching, that's for sure.
So now that you're on the other side of it, what does that tell you about the decision that you made at the time?
I had to test my faith. And that was actually something that I kept on telling people was this is my leap of faith.
What would you say to a woman who's at home right now? She's intimidated. She feels like there are candidates who are coming up who are younger than she is. You know, what kind of self-talk did you give yourself?
My initial career path that I may have thought 2 years, 5 years ago, that may just be something different. A different plan was set for me.
Continue to look online for resources. People want to help you.
Be patient on yourself. And just because you get a no doesn't mean that you're inadequate, doesn't mean that you can't. You absolutely can.
Oh, I hope someone listening received that this morning. Thank you to Claudia, Arnetta, and Amy for sharing their stories. So if you are interested, these returnships are paid, and it's real work. It's not just entry-level tasks. And the organization Path Forward, listen to this, says 80% of those returnships result in full-time employment. So if it sounds interesting to you, I know a lot of people are looking for work. We've put more information on our website at today.com.
Wow, I think
Isn't that fantastic?
A lot of people could use
You know, people are home for
That's a
all
great
sorts
concept.
of reasons and then ready to jump back in.
Right, like Craig, he's home right now.
Yes. Isn't that amazing? Wow.
It really is.
Any
Yeah.
comments?
That was good information. Yeah.
Yes. Do you all know anyone who could benefit from this, perhaps? I mean, even if they didn't, say, take a break from a prior career, but maybe they had to take a break and they want to try something new. It still applies. And we'll talk about that a little later, too. Yes. Yes, indeed. So even if they work at a job, say they took on a job that's outside of their career path, that's a break. That's considered a break. So,
Yeah.
again, I'll probably chat about that a little bit more. So any other questions or insights?
No, I just had, when I was at Sandhills, I had several people who took like 20-year breaks to completely raise children. I had 2 customers almost at the same time who didn't know each other, but they had homeschooled their daughters and it was time for the child to go to college. And so they had been at home for 20 years. Yeah.
Amazing. That's amazing. Wow. Wow. Well, I'm going to go to another slide, but before I go there, I just want to ask a question. Why else do you think that there are over 100 companies targeting caregivers? Feel free to respond.
I guess it's because, let's see, trying to solidify my thought.
I'm sure you just go for it. It's
I
all
know.
right.
Well, I think there's some research about sort of the sandwich generation, and more people are taking care of children and their parents,
Oh,
and so they
gotcha.
have to take time off, right? So you hear about that all the time. I've actually had 2 medical professionals, like my children's pediatrician and our dentist, retire really early for those reasons, that they just couldn't do both. They couldn't keep up their full-time careers and take care of family.
Yes, it's a challenge. It's a true challenge. So you can imagine just moving to this next screen. Yes, okay. You guys don't have whiplash. As you can see, corporate America has come to realize that caregivers are usually dedicated, dependable, and yes, Jessica, you are right on task. The sandwich generation is real. I was there. But caregivers are also very dependable, hardworking, and compassionate about their work. Their emotional intelligence is usually very much in line with today's career culture. Overall, they are passionate about what is right and needed to get through life's many unexpected demands with the greatest of vigilance and perseverance in the midst of an ever-changing world. In spite of the many unforeseen challenges that they face while caring for their loved ones, from caring for children, and can imagine what it's like caring for an elderly loved one, they go beyond what they could have ever expected with much grace and patience. So that emotional intelligence is very key. I know you guys may have heard about that in your journeys. One of the most valuable attributes is that caregivers, they usually don't break under stressful situations. Once they've been through the many, many life challenges, you're talking about 24/7, a lot of stress. And to be able to get through it with grace, return back to the workforce, and they're well versed. So they are not only caregivers, but they're also advocates with the heart of an entrepreneur on the forefront of all that is involved to orchestrate the finances, health, and well-being of their loved ones. So they're doing this while also maintaining their own households. As you were stating earlier, Jessica, it's a balancing act. And the need to fulfill the fine art of multitasking, sorry for the light in the background, I'm trying to get it together. The need to fulfill the fine art of multitasking, it comes naturally. It really does, because of the demands that they have. When you love someone, you're going to really go the extra mile, and having that heart and that experience to do what you need to do for your loved one and maintain your own household, you're living two worlds every time. So now, returnships aren't just for caregivers. Many companies in the Path Forward network that I've learned through a lot of the webinars that I've gone through, they tend to broaden their focus on gaps, not only taken for caregiving, but for just about any reason. Some companies consider returners that may have ventured out to start a business or retire early. They may have tried to continue education, or they were underemployed while taking care of their loved ones, while just trying to figure out what's going to be the next step. There's just so much out there and so much that happens during that break. So employers, they may take these scenarios into consideration, realizing that some returners may not have stopped working completely, but may have also taken a less demanding job out of their former area of expertise to care for their loved ones. Also been there, done that. Yes, 40% pay cut. I'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a struggle and a journey I wouldn't trade. So also, returnships aren't just for returning to a prior career, they're also for career pivots. Returnships may actually welcome those who want to pivot into a different career. Now, this works pretty much the same as normal. Transferable skills are always welcome, even though it may be a totally different career. Matter of fact, I went to one webinar where one of the ladies was actually offered a different career path in the middle of her returnship. Worked out well for the company and for the lady. It's just amazing. It's amazing. So just keep in mind that the common denominator is the emotional intelligence, as that EQ is a major determining factor. For many companies, the EQ is very, very real. Yes. So any other interjections? Like I say, this is very formal. Yes, I love the interactions. So
It sounds like they've covered all the bases.
They really, really, really have. Matter of fact, I was supposed to share that screen, but the link that I gave you, it has just about everything on it. Just to double back for a second, I had one of the statistics, major statistic that I wanted to share with you. It's just crazy what they have to offer. It's let's try to see if I've got the right screen, y'all. Of course not. But basically, just to reiterate, you can see from the website that I showed, the screenshot of the Path Forward website, that they have a lot to offer. I mean, here we are. I knew that. I knew where that was. You've got everything. I mean, all of these resources up here. It's just crazy what they have to offer, and they've done this since 2016. It is amazing. Now, Path Forward returners have an average of 11 years of prior experience in their field. 95% have a bachelor's degree, and 49% have an advanced degree. So, yes, you can definitely see, why they really like to target returners, so they don't have to start from scratch, basically. They're out there with experience and ready to move forward. So like internships, returnships involve a temporary onboarding process around 12 to 24 weeks designed to reintroduce the returner to a specific career with mentors and on-the-job training. Now, Path Forward takes it a step further. They also provide additional support during this time period. They have other returners that they communicate with when they're going through their returnship, and they go back to Path Forward for more additional support and training during the returnship with whatever company that they've signed on with. So as stated, 80% are hired permanent to full-time after they finish the returnship. Now, this next news interview speaks straight from the Path Forward Executive Director, Tammy Foreman. I'll be sure to share the sound. Yes. So she's given a more in-depth overview of what's involved. Oh, it's automatically filled. I love them, computers.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. We might want to get to the right one. Sorry about that. I will be sure to learn. And let me know if you
Trying
can't
to find a
hear.
balance between work and raising kids can be very tough. Oftentimes people find themselves leaving work to focus on family. I certainly have many friends who have done that, but what do you do when you decide, I'm ready to go back to work? My kids are older now, but maybe your skills are no longer as polished, or maybe you feel a little bit out of it, or maybe the skills have changed a little bit. So Path Forward, a nonprofit organization, can assist you by placing you in a returnship. Tammy Foreman, Executive Director of Path Forward, is here with us, along with Abby Corrales, a woman who went through the program and is now working at Cloudflare. Great to have you guys. Really appreciate it. Tammy, let's start with you. Talk about this concept of returnship. We all know about internships, right? But I do know I have a lot of friends who want to go back now that their kids are older. So what do they do? How does a returnship work?
So a returnship is anywhere from a 12 to 16-week program, and it's similar to college internship in the idea that it's about showing what you can do and meeting new people and gaining new skills, but it's predicated on the idea that you had a prior career, you're using all that experience you had from your prior career and putting it to work in a new way.
All right, tell us about your story, Abby. What did you do before? How long did you stop out? And talk about this returnship that you got with Cloudflare.
So it was a great opportunity. I had a career at UCSF for 9 years, and then I took a career break intentionally for 2 years, and then I was looking for 2 years. And when I found Path Forward, I was very excited about the opportunity. So I applied through the Cloudflare website, and I was accepted, and I couldn't have been more thrilled. So that
Once you're part of the program, like, what did they give you?
So we did 3 workshops throughout the 16-week program, and I started in September of 2018. I got an offer before my returnship was up in December of 2018. So I've been there since then, and here we are in March. It was exciting.
Right?
Full-time, permanent.
So the returnship was the stepping stone, right?
Yes.
Tammy, how does this benefit the companies?
Well, so I don't think I need to tell anyone in San Francisco and Silicon Valley that the labor market here is a little tight. I've heard that. It's a little tight.
A little bit.
And so, but there are just so many people. The average length of tenure on someone in a Path Forward program is 11 years of prior work experience. They almost all of them have a college degree. About half of them have a master's degree or above. So this is a highly experienced, skilled workforce that companies are overlooking today because of bias in the hiring process about that gap. So the returnship gives them an opportunity to tap into that workforce that they're not tapping into today, and bring amazing people like Abby onto their teams, which is amazing.
Yeah. What are some of the top Silicon Valley companies that have committed to returnships?
So we've worked with a bunch of great companies, Walmart Labs, Intuit, Apple, Cloudflare, lots of great companies. We've worked with about 50 companies overall. And so from the big names that you've heard of to smaller startup companies that are wanting to get, start out having a more diverse workforce from the beginning.
Yeah. Abby, when you went back, did you feel a little funny, like, gosh, everyone here is so young, or, are my skill sets still up to date? Did you feel that?
Yes. And that's why the workshops are so helpful. Path Forward is really well thought out. Tammy has put a lot of effort into the workshops. We go through the age gap, imposter syndrome, and imposter syndrome is a big thing in tech, especially.
Okay, I never even stopped out, but I got to talk to you, okay? I need some of those skills. Tammy and Abby, thank you so much for joining us and talking about returnships. Congrats to you, Abby. Best of luck in your career. Trying to find a balance between work and raising kids can be very
There we go. So you can see, wow, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. I'm just surprised. This is my first time. This is my first time hearing about this. That's just, I think I'm like in shock.
Yes.
It's a little bit shocking. Like, why is this my first time hearing about this?
Well, yeah. Why don't we know about this?
Right.
Exactly. Thank you.
So yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, I can't say it enough. I don't know what else to say. It's just crazy that there's this whole new world out there that could have benefited so many people that I knew, and I'm sure Jessica. Yeah, absolutely. I'd
Just
love
to have this resource to share with people. I would love to find out more about if they have any companies in South Carolina that they're working with, or how that process happens, because this would be incredible resource.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm still digging for more South Carolina. I'm thinking Amazon, yes, but a lot of it is in the technical roles. I think they do have some customer-oriented roles. I haven't applied for any at Amazon yet, but I did for Wells Fargo. But they kept saying, "Oh, go on and apply for it." I said, "But they're saying it's Charlotte. It's remote, but it's Charlotte, and it's only remote during the internship. So doing the returnship." So I said, "Well, it's probably why I didn't get that one." But it's the experience, and just to be able to share this with somebody who can benefit. I am a help. I like helping people. I mean, my husband was like, "Well, why are you doing something like that?" It's interesting to share it.
I'm so glad you
come
did.
across these things to keep them to yourself.
It's incredible.
Yes, indeed. So in order to qualify for a returnship, most companies have a mandatory gap employment request for at least 2 years.
Oh, wow.
You have to have been out of the workforce for most companies at least 2 years to even be considered. If they don't see that gap, unlike everybody else, if they don't see that gap, they won't look at it.
Normally when you're doing a resume, you're trying to take the spotlight off the gap. But if you were applying for this, you'd be like, look at my gap.
Yes, look at my gap. Look what I've done during this time. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Because like the lady was saying, it wasn't a choice, it was something that she had to do. Now, they also have to have, on average, at least 5 years of professional experience, prior professional experience. Although in my travels, I have seen some companies that will allow applicants to be out of the workforce from anywhere from 1 to 20 years. Goes back to what you were mentioning earlier, 1 to 20 years. There are some out there that are like, whatever it is you had to do, that's fine. We just know you have the skills, you have the qualifications. I mean, they can look at, and we were all there before, I love my fresh out of college graduates that are looking at internships, but when you look at both of them, side note, I'd almost forgotten about this. I was up for a third interview with Warner Lambert straight out of college, and I got kicked out of the running by somebody who had 2 years of experience. So there you are. There you are. Seeing Big Pharma today, I don't know if that would have been a good choice, but anyway. But yeah, so I was excited to hear about this because in the year 2000, actually 1997, I had to take a step down for retail management, working 12 to 16 hours a day. Daughter was in preschool. I knew she'd be going to kindergarten in a few years. So actually had to take a job on the floor to be able to even have the time to look for a job because I was working, y'all. I mean, crazy hours, taking work home for the 8 hours I wasn't home. I was doing work there too. So fast forward, year 2000, I'm offered a job at BB&T, and they actually offered me a management position. I'm like, I've got to be able to concentrate on my husband works crazy hours. Somebody's got to be at home. This child is like 3 children in one. And we wanted to try to have another one, but good Lord didn't have that in his plans. He knew what he was doing. But anyway, but just to let you know, my mother did become ill during that time. So that sandwich generation is real. My daughter was getting ready for kindergarten. It was June 2000. I get a call. Her mind, her body, everything gone. She had just retired after 77 years as a social worker. But God had it so that she turned completely around. Within 10 years, she was doing her own thing. Long story short, she was back to normal, off of all her mental medications, everything. She was on her own. She was doing Thelma and Louise trips with the girlfriends. So, but then you fast forward to 2019. Now, 2016, while my daughter was in college, I was ready to go on and move on, had started talking to some folks about being a trainer at BB&T. And I was like, oh, yes. And they were like, but you got to travel. And I'm like, oh, my mom, I just had to relocate her here in a nursing home, you know. And I said, I'm the only sibling here, so couldn't move on. Stayed where I was and endured, and finally did retire. And so I have not only taken, and I didn't even realize this until I was at the webinars that I had attended, that not only had I taken that break to go through shoulder surgery and all this other good stuff that happened in the meantime with family members being ill and whatnot, I had left my management career 19 years prior. So, so I've got a 20-year gap and a 3-year gap. So here we are. So I was so excited to see this. I just can't tell you enough. So hopefully South Carolina can embrace this.
Yes.
And put the word out there. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, indeed. Now, depending on the company and the demographics, the pay rate quoted by the Path Forward executive, Tammy Foreman herself, is usually $30 to $60 an hour for a returnship because they are corporate based. So yes, these companies are going to do everything in their power to groom their returners to perfection for a full-time permanent career. They're putting a lot of money on the line. So there you are. That was the Wells Fargo was $40 an hour. I had 3 positions. I was like, I will commute. And then hybrid. Yes, but of course I know they saw my address and life is good. All for purpose. So as I lean towards the closing here, I've got a few more very interesting facts to share with you guys. I'm through with the videos, so this should be pretty easy. Go back to this wonderful slide. I'm going to learn a little bit more as I go. Indeed and LinkedIn have realized the urgency to accommodate returners. Indeed has included a search engine specifically for returnships. I just wanted to share that with you guys briefly. And the link is in the chat box as well for that particular screen. Now, LinkedIn just this year has provided a means for returners to highlight their career breaks on their profile. LinkedIn recently surveyed nearly 23,000 workers and more than 7,000 hiring managers and found that nearly 2/3, 62% of employees have taken a break at some point in their professional career. And just over 1/3, 35%, mostly women, would like to take a career break in the future. So definitely, I've put the link for LinkedIn in the chat box as well. Now, yet even with career breaks becoming more popular, some hiring managers are still hesitant to pursue those who have taken a break. 1 in 5 hiring managers say that they outright reject such candidates. So there you are, we're still there. And just to slide back, once again, I hope you guys don't need any Dramamine while I navigate through life. Yes. So, and of course, I'll try to answer any questions you have, and we'll be glad to follow up. If I don't have an immediate answer, I'm still learning so much, so very much. I'm gonna get more polished at this one day. So what my goal is for everyone to be a change agent for Returnships, to change the job perspective and eliminate the bias in the hiring process, to be a part of an emerging market and make a difference in the livelihood of so many returners that can't wait to make a difference in a new career. Now, again, links for all of the above are provided in the chat box for your convenience. So I hope that I hope and pray that someone will benefit from this information and that you all are encouraged to embrace this emerging chapter in the hiring process. Besides, if Blanche, Rose, and Sophia can up and sell their house to run a hotel, there's hope for all of us. Yeah.
That's right. Sherry, maybe you should work for what's it called again?
Forward.
Path Forward.
I'd love to.
I mean, you sound so passionate about it. I mean, it's not, I'm only partially kidding. You should see if you can launch the South Carolina market. I mean,
yes. Oh my gosh. I might have to reach out to Miss Tammy Foreman herself.
Yeah, just be like, you could share this presentation and just, you clearly have a passion for helping people. You've done it multiple times without the help of Returnship and know the value of what it would have been like had you had one.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine what this country would be like if we embraced the fact that people might want to take a break and that they wouldn't have to worry about what would happen when they try to come back, right?
Yep. Yeah. Have to worry, fear being judged, all of that. It's, just taking that aspect out there, people feel relieved and, can have a breather. So this is a great find. Great find.
Yes. You guys are giving me chills.